Like, look at the way she looks at him.
So the letter that has interrupted the Duchess and Gwynplaine is...
Does that say I hesitate?
Let me double check. So the letter that she received is telling her that there's actually an heir to the land that she is, and the title that she is claiming. And it says it's a mountebank, which is a performer. Mm-hmm. But then it says it is Gwynplaine, the laughing
clown.
Yeah.
The laughing clown.
The queen is essentially at this point annulling the Duchess's betrothal to Derry-Moir.
Yeah, the kind of weasel-looking guy.
Exactly, and is saying she now has to marry Gwynplaine. Mm-hmm. And the Duchess is kind of overwhelmed
with what is just happening, and she just starts laughing.
It's joy, because she's like, hey, not only do I get to bang this clown that I want, I get to keep all my money. She does want him. Yeah, and I also get to have everything that I want.
Yep.
And so she starts laughing, and he's horrified because he thinks that she's laughing at him.
Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't know what's in that letter, and he also doesn't know that he's royalty.
No, he has no idea.
God, this goddamn monkey. Where the fuck did the monkey come from?
You're right, it did just show up out of nowhere.
Thank you, because we had this argument yesterday when we first watched this movie. Like, where all of a sudden Gwynplaine runs out of the room after she reads this, like, betrothal note, and they were in bed. Like, they were in bed. She was trying to make the moves on him. He wasn't having it. She goes and reads this telegram, understand what's happening, and then when Gwynplaine runs out of the room, she falls into bed, and there's a fucking monkey.
Yeah, it just shows up.
Just randomly. And then Gwynplaine runs out, and he finds Homo, and he says, she laughed just like all the others.
Yeah.
But, like, she wasn't laughing at him.
No.
And so that's why she falls into bed, like, so dramatically sad, is because he runs out, and she wasn't laughing at him. She was laughing at the fact that, like, her life just changed in a letter. Yeah.
It's a very interesting scene with mixed communication and how that can impact relationships.
Yes. Look at that. 1920s. Giving you relationship advice.
So Gwynplaine has essentially come back hat in hand and found Dea asleep, holding the note that had asked him to come.
Mm-hmm. And, like, she can't read it.
No.
Like, again, Dea is blind.
Yeah.
She can't read it. And so he just quickly takes it from her while she's asleep and rips it up.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these movies and a lot of the gothic horror genre is definitely man as the monster. Mm-hmm. And this one, I could be connecting lines
that aren't there.
Yeah. But I feel it's very much a statement on the aristocracy.
Yeah.
And how fucking terrible they are.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the king kidnaps a child and has it disfigured.
Yes.
Then he dies, his wife takes over, and she's threatened to kill a guy over, you know, bribery.
Yeah.
Which, okay, kind of fair.
Fine.
But then the queen's like, hey, you have to marry this clown face guy to keep your money.
Yeah.
And so I'm just making it happen. And then, you know, Barky, he works for the aristocracy.
Fucking Barky.
And he is slime.
Yeah.
You know?
He's disgusting.
Yeah. But then you have Gwynplaine, who was raised by a traveling philosopher, and Dea, who was also raised by the same traveling philosopher, and they have kind of pure hearts. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so eventually Gwynplaine finds out that he is royalty, and he has to go through the whole process, and is kind of horrified by all of it.
Exactly. And then pretty much the end scene is him giving up the title, giving up everything, and proclaiming that God made me a man. I don't care what the queen made me. God made me a man first. And so he goes off and runs to end up with Ursus and Dea. Like, he doesn't want to live amongst the royalty. He realizes they're disgusting.
Yeah. So they're going to ride off into the sunset, which that happens in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But
no, a very long pause.
Yeah, I did that, and I did really enjoy my theory on it being a statement on aristocracy being garbage, because all of the people involved with the aristocracy are fucking garbage.
Yeah, they are.
Even the Duchess, who is like considered lower class royalty, is still royalty of some sort, and
she's a party girl.
Yeah, she's just DTF, and to live as wildly as she can and not fucking do a day's worth of work.
Exactly.
So
she doesn't want to show up to... She wants to enjoy the title and enjoy the royalties that go along with it. She just doesn't want to actually have to be a royal.
Yeah. Yeah, so now Gwynplaine is doting on Dia.
And, I mean, I think had they not come to arrest Gwynplaine, he would have... This would have been the end of the movie. You know what I mean? So, once everyone finds out that Gwynplaine is royalty and everything, he tries to give up his title. They come and arrest him. And he didn't really try to give it up in such a way that he will later. He just ran from it.
Yeah, well, at this point, he still doesn't know that he's royalty.
I mean, everybody else does.
So I noticed when I was reading the cast list that the nobleman that's executed at the beginning of the movie, Gwynplaine's father, also played by Conrad Veidt. Yeah.
Cool!
Yeah.
Cool.
Just put a beard and some hair on him.
Yeah.
And not fucking disfiguring dentures.
Exactly. And taping up his face. Or hooking up his face, I should say.
Yeah, and as they are taking him away, he says, "Don't tell Dia."
Yeah. Because he has been summoned. They are arresting him, but, more just you have to come with us.
Ursus gives Dia some bull.
Yeah.
Saying, "Hey, we've got business at the inn. You just get some sleep."
Got some business.
And then he tells everyone, "Don't tell Dia."
Yeah, don't tell Dia. Don't everyone shut up. No one tell Dia what's going on.
Shut up.
Shut up.
I'm not gonna lie, if modern cops started dressing like that, they'd be way more intimidating.
I would not be probably as disrespectful to police officers if they wore something like that.
No, I'm not. For some reason, those capes are just fucking intimidating.
Oh, yeah. Anyone who wears a cape, I'm going to take seriously.
You know what? It's like, I've managed to tie a lot of things back to wrestling in my life for some reason. But The Undertaker, when he wore his giant long trench coat, was super creepy.
Oh my God, yeah.
When he started just rocking the tank top, fuck off.
Yeah, then you just look like a douche.
Yeah.
You look like the guy they're getting called on, getting the police called on them in, Bad Boys.
Yeah.
They're gonna come to his trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why those white tank tops are called wife beaters.
Yeah.
For that exact.
So Ursus is hanging outside of the prison, and someone says, "Hey, don't bother waiting. Once they go in there, they don't come out."
Yeah.
And then he sees a casket walk by.
Bum, bum, bum.
The casket doesn't walk by.
No. The casket doesn't have legs.
No. That'd be kind of rad if it did.
That'd be super rad.
Yeah. But the casket is being carried out, and so Ursus makes an assumption.
Yeah. He makes the assumption that Gwynplaine is in the casket.
Yep.
Fun fact.
He's
not.
Spoiler alert.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Heartbroken and in shock. Doesn't know how to process it all. And then says the show's over. Yeah,
because he's now, after they took Gwynplaine, a part of the decree of arresting Gwynplaine was that Ursus had to leave. Mm-hmm. They were banished. So that means, all of that money that they were going to make from the Laughing Man show, he's absolutely devastated. And now Gwynplaine has been taken, and he assumes Gwynplaine is dead, so it's his whole world has been taken upside down.
Yeah. On top of losing, a son, essentially.
Yeah. And we forget that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ursus raised them. And yes, of course, he's helping them live the life that they live a life that may not have the most dignity, but at least they can make money. Yeah. They can have a living. They're together.
Yeah. They have a family.
They have a family. Exactly. They have a family. And I will say it is probably one of my favorite endings of a vintage horror movie I've ever seen, because the ending is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. The last scene of the movie, the very last, well, I shouldn't say the very last, this very second to last scene of the movie is Ursus, Dia, Gwynplaine, and Homo all just hugging and just loving each other and just so happy to be back together. And then the very last scene is the boat. But
yeah, so good old Barky shows back up with the Queen and says Dr. Harkonnen has died in prison, which we all know that he actually killed Dr. Harkonnen.
Yes.
But said that his deathbed admission confirms that Gwynplaine is the nobleman's son. So Ursus is still in shock and hasn't told Dia what has happened. And
he's just kind of wandered around,
Yeah.
trying to process the information. He's looking at all of the setup of, like, the man who laughs. He's looking at their livelihood. He's looking at the life that
Yeah.
was just shattered. And so all of the other fair performers that essentially they all travel together pretty much. Like, they're a part of this troupe. Everyone else is saying, you can't tell Dia.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell her that he's dead. Because, again, they believe that he's dead.
And so he says the show must go on. So he goes from saying the show's over to the
Yes.
show must go on.
Yes.
And he wants to continue it solely for Dia.
Yes.
And so the clowns start chanting Gwynplaine's name
Yep.
and acting like they're an audience.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is one of the scenes where they had kind of sound effects because you can hear.
You can hear Gwynplaine being yelled.
Yeah, and it's not clear. It's
No.
more noise, almost like
Like a, I don't know, that's pretty clear though. It's like someone is yelling Gwynplaine, but they're slow-moing it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very drawn-out yell.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like a person speaking. It sounds like a
Right.
crowd chanting kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, at the time, this was very revolutionary. You know, and prior to this, this actually did tour without the soundtrack. When it was initially released, it would just be whatever was in, like, whatever the organ player played.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
God, it'd be a different experience every time.
So, like, depending on who your organ player was and their background, you could get jazz.
Yeah.
You could get classical.
You could get a much different
You could get
sense
hymnals.
of the movie. What did you say?
Hymnals.
Oh, that would ruin it.
It'd be creepy because some of those hymnals are super creepy.
I mean, well, religious music is super fucking creepy
Yeah.
in general. Like, I'm sorry, but I grew up as a Catholic, and it's creepy. It's a creepy process. It's a creepy place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, don't tell me anything I don't know.
I mean, I'm sorry. No one likes to be in a church at night. That shit's terrifying.
Yeah.
God, I remember, so in grade school, I have been in Catholic school since I was in pre-K. Pre-K Catholic, kindergarten Catholic, all through high school. And the church that we would go to when I was really young, I remember having to use the church bathroom. I was probably in second grade, so I was, oh my God. They're like, oh, the bathroom's downstairs. And I remember walking down those steps into a pitch black, like, very 1980s looking room with old statues. And I walked into the most terrifying, flickering fluorescent light bathroom, and I was like, I can't do this. And I ran right back upstairs.
Yeah, so Ursus is doing the introduction and is having a difficult time with it. He's breaking down. Ursus has made his way through the introduction, and Dia kind of seems to sense that something is off. But she goes out and she starts her performance, and good old Barky and his copper friends show up, and they pass out the Queen's next decree. For reasons of state, you are banished from England. You leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Barky says, Gwynplaine is dead. He says it,
Very loudly.
and Dia hears it and starts sobbing.
Yes, immediately. And she just starts saying Gwynplaine's name, which you can tell. You can read her lips. That was the love of her life.
I like comparing this to The Phantom of the Opera because it's 3 years later.
Yeah.
And, the sound quality, the picture quality on this release.
It's better.
Yeah.
It's much better.
Yeah.
It's much clearer.
Even though this print is dirty, there's lines that are just visible across the entire movie.
Yeah.
The print itself is dirty, but the picture's crisper.
Yes.
The blacks in this are fantastic.
The contrast is much better.
Yeah.
There's not as much shadow over faces.
But even some of the cinematography, the Phantom had good cinematography.
I agree. I think the use of the Technicolor filters, though, really did blur a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why our picture might be crisper in this versus the Phantom, is because the Phantom tried to, and it was very well done. It adds to the film. I very much enjoy those, the purple filters over, and I say filters, they could just have been lenses or, pieces of paper for all I know. But I mean, the use of that color over certain scenes to give it, this kind of ominous vibe whenever the Phantom was spoken of or, had any kind of screen time whatsoever.